What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Dart Zone Pro Mark 2.1. This is a high-performance, high-velocity blaster from Dart Zone that uses external box magazines, shooting exclusively half-length darts. And it comes with a super tactical holster. It's very similar to the original Mark II, hence its name, but it's actually quite different. I'll do a brief comparison to these two blasters at the end of the video. So let's get into it. Tactical carry handle. Included is the blaster, 3 magazines, holster, mag carrier, short darts, extra O-rings, goggles, instructions, and dart brochure. Lots to go over in this review: the blaster, the cool tactics, comparing it to the original Mark II. But let's start out with an external overview, starting up at the front. There's no in-strike barrel lug, but there is a removable muzzle device that fits in with friction. It doesn't affect performance at all, but it looks pretty cool, and it adds a lot of orange on the front of the blaster to make it very clear this is just a toy blaster. Moving on, down here we have a tactical rail, and up top we have a front iron sight here, which corresponds with a rear iron sight built into the priming handle. This whole gray piece is the priming handle. To prime this, you pull back and push forward manually. The prime strength required is way harder than most Nerf Elite blasters on the market, but this is shooting twice as hard as those. So with a stronger spring, obviously it requires a stronger prime. That being said, it's a pretty smooth prime. Right here above the trigger, we have a trigger safety. When it's protruding on this side, it's safe, so you cannot pull the trigger, then you push it through and you're able to pull the trigger. Below that is the trigger itself. This trigger pull feels pretty normal. This blaster does not have slam fire. And right behind the trigger is the magazine release. It's really, really small right here. And it's only present on the left-hand side, so this blaster is optimized for right-handed shooters. And it's a very small mag release, and the width of this grip is so big that I actually have to break my grip to strike that mag release. And I have larger than average fingers, so if you have regular sized fingers, you're really going to have to break and reposition that hand grip. But when you press that, the magazine drops out just with gravity. This is the included magazine. It actually comes with 3 magazines total, and each magazine holds 6 darts. This blaster is only compatible with half-length darts. It does not shoot Nerf Elite darts. But loading the magazine is pretty simple. You just slide your darts in like that. Again, the capacity is 6 darts. This is a new magazine design. It's not compatible with Talon mags, the mini Talon mags, or any other magazine I've tried. This is a whole different loading system than the original Mark II. Those speed loaders are not compatible with this blaster. This is a whole new thing, and these magazines are brand new. And reinserting the magazine is pretty smooth, but I have caught these feed lips on the mag well quite a few times. So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Now to the grip. Overall, the grip is pretty comfortable, but it is on the larger side. I have large fingers, so I don't mind that. I actually find this grip to be very comfortable. But the grip is very wide in this dimension, and that's to fit the big magazine up in there. It is a lot bigger than the original Mark II grip, which had a very small, reasonable grip. But the grip is pretty comfortable, and it also has this texture built into it, which makes it more tactical. It's not very aggressive like stippling. It's not going to actually help you grip, but it does feel cool. And in the all the way rear of the blaster, we have a priming indicator right here. When you're primed, a little flag is visible. When you're unprimed, that flag goes away. That is an external overview of the blaster itself, but it also comes with some tactical gear. First up, the holster. This is a plastic holster, just like the Mark II holster, but it mimics the Kydex design. This holster is specifically designed for this Mark 2.1, so it fits like a glove. It slides in, it retains the blaster fairly well, but when you want to retrieve it, you can pull out super fast, which is important. The holster can be adjusted for angle like this to fit the user preference. As a drop leg, I prefer mine just straight up and down, pretty basic. And this is a drop leg holster, which is very different than the Mark II holster. So this top strap will be attached to your belt, and then it drops down onto your thigh. And then this second strap goes around your leg to prevent it from flopping outward. Both straps are adjustable, and it should fit most body types. I'm at the very end of the leg adjustment for size, but I've got a pretty thick thigh. And the top attachment point has a little buckle. That makes it a lot easier to slide just this on your belt before attaching the whole holster. And at the front of the holster, you have a little caddy to hold your muzzle device like that. So, you know, if you want to carry it around with you to pull that James Bond moment, you totally can. But it's worth noting the bottom of the holster is closed off, so if you have the included muzzle device on the blaster, it will not holster. You have to take it out, put that in alone, and then put that device in the front little caddy like that. And if you can see the design of this rear panel, Dart Zone obviously went out of their way to add all these other little attachment points. In stock form, they're not necessary at all, but they gave us the ability to adjust and adapt this holster to whatever rig we're running. That flexibility is super tactical and very functional. Overall, it's a pretty solid holster design, especially for the Nerf standard. This will beat every cloth holster out there. Having something that's form-fitted to the blaster is super useful. Also included is a mag carrier. It's made out of the same plastic and it matches. This one is not drop leg. This goes straight into your belt, which holds 2 extra magazines like this. The magazine retention is right on the money. You can do all the hardcore parkour you want and it's not going to come out, but then when you want to reload, you can get to it very quickly. But sometimes when I went to put the magazine in, the little feed lip would unlatch and it would drop a dart into the mag carrier like that, which is super annoying because it no longer allows the magazine to seat properly. When the carrier's in my hand, it's not a big deal since I can just tip it, but when it's attached to your belt, you sort of have have to invert to get it out. That happened to me a few times. It was kind of annoying. Overall, a really nice mag carrier, and this is very similar to the Mark II carrier. Of course, that wasn't using magazines, that was using speed loaders, but this design is very similar, compared to the holster, which being drop leg is totally different than the Mark II holster. I'll compare those at the end of the video. Also included in this kit are eye protection. These are like full seal goggles, not just basic shooting glasses. Not a whole lot to go over here. It is just a rubber interface. That's what's touching your face, not plastic. But it is worth noting they work over top of glasses, which is cool. I don't think you're gonna win any style points, but it will prevent you from getting shot in the eye. Eye protection is super important, especially at this muzzle velocity. So that's an external overview of the blaster and the tactical gear. Now I'll show you the blaster firing. Starting with the included yellow bamboo half-length darts. Now shooting some Dart Zone red or ruby darts. Now shooting some Adventure Force black or ember darts. Overall, operating the Mark 2.1 was tons of fun. This blaster shoots really hard, and it is really fun to use external magazines because it's just way more tactical to do a magazine reload compared to the Mark II. If you have preloaded magazines, shooting this is a lot faster because you're not dealing with a speed loader. You can just put in a fresh magazine and keep going. And the firing performance was really solid. It's really quite accurate. It shoots really hard. I did not experience any jams or malfunctions with the blaster itself, but I did have a few hiccups with these magazines. As I mentioned a number of times when I was trying to put the magazine into the carrier, the little feed lip would release and the dart would drop in there. And again, that's annoying because when this is attached to your belt, you have to invert your whole body just to get the dart out. And I also experienced the same problem when I tried to do speed reloads and I missed by just a little bit. I would often go fast and I'd miss and then a dart would fly out, so then I have one less dart in the mag. And I did not break anything, and I was doing reloads onto a tile floor, which is kind of abusive, but this is an exposed mechanical component which is necessary for the magazine to function. So it might just be a matter of time until you drop that magazine on the wrong angle and it cracks the feed lip. It hasn't happened yet, but it is something I'm worried about in the future. But they did include 3 magazines, so if one breaks, it's really not a big deal. In a note on dart selection, this blaster uses a spring-powered compression barrel. Just like other compression barrels, that means it's pretty picky on the dart selection. The included bamboo darts worked really well. I also used Dart Zone Ruby half-length darts and the Adventure Force Ember half-length darts. And they both fed just fine. I didn't have any jams, but they didn't shoot as hard and they did not shoot nearly as consistently. These Ember darts in particular were the worst ones. If you buy this blaster, definitely get the bamboo darts. The consistency, the range of the firing velocity was really narrow with the bamboo darts. It was super broad and kind of unpredictable with these darts. No other firing notes, so to compare this blaster to others, I put it up on my chronograph. With the included yellow bamboo darts, achieved an average velocity of 164 feet per second. With Dart Zone half-length ruby darts, 140 feet per second. And with Adventure Force black ember darts, 136 feet per second. So this is obviously shooting way harder than the Elite Par of 70 feet per second. This is up in the same area of the Nexus Pro and the Max Striker. So that's the objective information I can provide on this blaster. Now to my personal opinion. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the Mark 2.1. It operated very smoothly, it shoots hard, and it's very accurate. The only thing worth griping about with this whole blaster is just the magazine feeding lips. I had a number of cases when I went for the reload, I hit the lip, and then a dart would fall out. If this was an 18-round magazine, one dart wouldn't be a big deal. By paying more attention and being deliberate, it fixes the problem, so it's not too big a deal, but totally worth noting. My opinion on the mag carrier is positive. It operates exactly like it's supposed to. And I have a mixed opinion on the drop leg holster. Now, it works really well. The retention is really solid. I just subjectively, personally, don't really like drop leg holsters. So I found it a little bit clunky. I think it's unnecessary to have this little caddy here. It just adds more size and bulk, and drop leg holsters are typically only used when you have a plate carrier or a vest, or something else up on your body here that would prevent you from using a waistband holster. A waistband holster is ideal. If you can, you use that. So it's not my favorite. I would have preferred a waistband holster, but it's different than the Mark II, and they just wanted to separate it a little. But again, that's a subjective complaint. It's just that I don't like drop leg holsters. The holster works very well, and it's super adaptable with all these slots, so you can really fit this into your rig however you want. So overall opinion of the Mark 2.1 is positive. However, I don't think it's a direct replacement for the original Mark II. It has its advantages, but it's not objectively superior. There's still a good reason to buy the Mark II. Briefly comparing these blasters, the Mark II is noticeably smaller. It has a smaller grip, so if you have a regular size hand, the Mark 2.1 might be a little bit big for you. That was necessary to get the magazine to fit in there, of course, but the original Mark II is just a smaller package, especially when you have it all geared up. The drop leg holster and the bigger size makes this much clunkier, and in my opinion, the biggest, coolest difference is using removable magazines. The original Mark II uses a built-in magazine in order to maintain a really small grip, but that means to reload, you have to open this up and shove darts in like that, compared to the 2.1, which can be reloaded way faster. That's just the nature of removable magazines. They're tactical, they're super fun, but those are the biggest differences in my opinion. Now to the question to buy or not to buy, or more realistically, which one of these do you want to buy? My purchase recommendation comes down to how often you want to use your pistol. If you're in like a pistol round and you know you're going to shoot more than one magazine of ammo, the 2.1 has a huge advantage. If you're in a one-on-one battle with just pistols and it's 2.1 versus 2, the 2.1 is going to win. With faster reloads, you can put more foam down range and win. However, it comes at a cost, so I really don't think this is objectively better by any means. It's much bigger and it's much clunkier, especially with the drop leg holster. So in my opinion, the purchase recommendation comes down to how much you're planning to shoot the pistol. When I field a pistol, it's on my hip and I pretty much ignore it, and I only use it if my main blaster goes down, which most games my main blaster doesn't go down, so I don't even shoot my pistol. I just have it there just in case. And for that situation, the Mark II is just better. It's smaller, it's more compact, and especially being a waistband holster instead of a drop leg holster, it just sits to your hip and you forget you're wearing it. This is a really well-made holster and it's very small and compact. Compared to the 2.1, which being a drop leg holster, it's just inherently clunky, and it's a much bigger holster because it's a much bigger blaster, especially with this carrier over here. So that's only going to be worthwhile if you plan to use your pistol a lot, and the speed provided by a removable magazine is a huge deal to you compared to the built-in magazine of the Mark II. So it's called the Mark 2.1, but by no means does it make the Mark II obsolete. They're just different blasters for different purposes. If I'm fielding a secondary and I'm using a primary and it's not just like a pistol round, I'm easily going to pick the Mark II. But if it's just a pistol round, or if I'm derping around and I want to feel like John Wick, the 2.1 is where it's at. The removable magazines are just super tactical. It's really fun to reload the blaster like this. So sort of a mixed opinion and even a mixed purchase recommendation for the Mark 2.1. But overall, a really solid offering by Dart Zone. It operates well and it's fun to use. So if you're looking for a high-performance sidearm, it's definitely worth considering. It should go without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Just keep in mind, bros, this is a high-performance blaster. I would not feel comfortable shooting this at my friends inside my house. It's not a close engagement blaster. This is more intended for outdoor, more spread out battles. So if you're shooting unmodified Nerf Elite blasters, this probably shoots too hard for you and your group. This is for a specific, more high-performance, more competitive-based Nerfer. So that's my review and opinion of the Dart Zone Pro Mark 2.1. If you want to buy one of these, I'll put a purchase link in the description box below. That's it for this video review. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical.